lot that makes Alpena special. You know, outside of the natural resources and the beauty and just the specialness of being this close to the lake and having affordable housing, there's a community here, a rich community of people who not only want to expand and make it better and a better place to live and thrive. This is a cool place to live, and we're more of Northern Michigan's best kept secret.
Like a small city that has the same amenities, the same density as a big city does, but on a much smaller scale.
I would have to say Alpena is resilient.
I think that's part of what makes it really special for me, is that you've got all the stuff in downtown and in and around the area you can go to just as quick as you can go to Rockport, go out to national forests and get away from all that stuff.
I mean, to me it's home. To me it's like the lake, it's green, just like thick, dense woods. It's beautiful northern Michigan. I just had this idea, started bouncing it off some friends, like, hey, I want to bring a mural to my hometown. And originally it was, we were going to do it through the high school, and you know, I got in contact with the principal, and then we got to talking, and we couldn't manipulate anything on the outside of the building. So I had this entire structure for like an event and how we were going to get funding, and like, you know, at that point I had already talked with Chad, and he said he was down, so I had an additional artist to bring, and I basically had this all on like a nice little package, and through the high school not working out and getting passed on to a couple people, I ended up talking with Ann Gentry, who runs the DDA, and she kind of just picked it up and saw it as an awesome opportunity.
Back in the winter, I had gotten an email from Justin Christensen Cooper over at Art in the Loft, and he had emailed me and said, hey, just a heads up, there's an artist from Alpena that you might know that will probably be reaching out to you, which was Aaron Golbeck. So he had emailed us and said, hey, you know, this is kind of the project I was hoping to do at the high school. Justin said that maybe like the downtown would be a good location. We connected, and our promotions and marketing committee got a chance to talk about what this project could be, how we wanted to format it, and you know, they were on board, and then our board of directors and our budget was on board for supporting it. So kind of all came together starting from this spring until the summer.
What I see arts now as compared to 10 years ago, I see it as a cultural renaissance. And by that I mean we are being not inundated, I don't think we're there yet, but our community is really appreciating the fact that we're getting art in all types of ways. From Art in the Loft to doing classes and exhibits, to murals being brought into our community, to the theater putting on high quality productions, to new galleries opening up. Really just seeing that the arts can push a town in the right direction.
Within the downtown specifically, seems like in like the 60s or 70s is when a lot of the arts organizations founded. For example, like Thunder Bay Arts Council just celebrated its 50th anniversary, I believe. And they actually were the ones that did like the bypath project, and they wanted that to be a sculptured walk, which we're now seeing like a revival of adding that public art component. Also in the 70s was when like Thunder Bay Theater was formed to be like a secondary summer option with the Civic Theater. So I think like the arts have always had a strong presence in Alpena.
Especially young people now coming back, seeing like how invested they are in our community and how much they're willing to give of themselves, and rather than just seeing people complain about how there's nothing to do here, there's people who are willing to like step up and fill like voids that they see happening.
With what we're doing with the downtown, that's what we're always trying to do, is like make it an urban destination, a downtown that's full of, you know, offices to restaurants to shopping to arts organizations.
I was always into art as a kid, and I think like at an early age I started getting into like skateboarding and like rock and stuff like that. And I remember like this album cover had like this dude spray painting a wall, and I don't know what it was, but I immediately was like, I want to spray paint, like that's so cool. And I went out to Colorado and through snowboarding, all that stuff, it came back around, and I had an injury, and I was stuck at home, and basically I got cabin fever and just was like, I need to go do something with my life. Went and picked up some spray cans, and like from that point it was on.
I think I was like 20 years old and I was in college. What I was doing in college, I don't know. I don't know why I was trying to be a business student and forcing my way into these classes where the whole time I was spending all this money on school and I'm sketching, and all of my friends were stoked on all of my sketches. And so it was a really rough year, and I basically gravitated towards art. You know, I started painting, was sketching every day, and once I finished this piece that I had a vision for, I left everything to move up to the mountains. And so for the next few years, I actually went to school up there, got really deep into oil painting. I spent probably about 6 hours, at least 6 hours a day in the studio. And yeah, I brought it back to the city and I was tattooing, and I started getting calls from museums and cities, towns, whatever, and they wanted me to paint their walls. And so it was so random because they're like, oh, we found you on the internet. And I didn't even have an internet presence with my street art or anything like that. And so it was kind of like it was just handed to me. And from that point on, especially with the spray paint, the minute I finished my first piece with spray paint, I was like, I'll do this for the rest of my life.
I think after like 2 or 3 locations, we finally locked down a place that we could do a design that we wanted to, have the space we needed to really display something nice, and an owner that was just down with whatever. We just really wanted to support what we were doing. And from there, everything's just been snowballing. It's been cool.
Honestly, like I've seen a lot of people that are like professionals that like this is their thing to do, and they try and make stuff happen, and then sometimes it happens, but then sometimes it doesn't happen the way that they originally had seen it. But with Aaron, it sounded like, it was like an idea. Oh yeah, I'm talking to these people, and then it was like a thing, and then it was like, oh, we got the funding. And so it was like, oh, well, if you got the funding, then, we're there. Because then it'll be easy to find a wall. It'll be easy to get paint. It'll be easy to coordinate a design. And so, yeah, it was, I guess my faith grew with Aaron the whole time.
Well, it was really just like, I hit you up and I was like, hey, I might have a chance to like paint a wall. You want to join? And you were kind of just like, yeah. Like if it happens, kind of like, yeah.
Simple.
It wasn't like I have this great idea. It was more of just like hey, this might work out. Like, are you down if it does? And here we are.
I mean, we really can't take credit for anything other than allowing the artists to do what they do best. And I mean, because I know that wasn't always the case during this journey. Yeah. We weren't the first location, and they weren't going to be allowed to, at the other location, do any design that they wanted to do. By the time that it came around to us, we were just like, you guys are talented.
Yeah.
Do something you're passionate about, and it's going to turn out awesome. When I graduated from high school, my parents moved up to Hillman and started this business with my aunt and uncle. And they started in Hillman, moved it to Alpena because there's more people, more resources here, and had been at a grind for a really long time and were kind of running themselves ragged. When I was in Sacramento, I'd call my mom at what was 11 o'clock her time in the evening, hoping that she'd be done with work, and she'd be like, oh, I got just a couple more hours and then I'll be able to go to bed. And oftentimes she'd be sleeping on the couch in the back of the building, and that drove me insane. And there was a a trip when they were finally coming out after we had been living in Sacramento for 9 years. They were finally taking time to break away from the business and come visit us. And I remember looking at him and saying, man, I hope my mom's not on the phone the entire time that she's out here visiting. And we started talking about it and kind of like, how can we help them, you know, with being so far away, which led to a deeper discussion of what are we really doing in our current careers. I'd worked in broadcasting for 20 years. He'd worked at Guitar Center for 12. And we were both doing, you know, we were punching our own way. We were doing pretty well, but we thought, what if we went back to Michigan, which we had wanted to do for a while, just hadn't found the opportunity, and took over for them so that they could retire and start living life the way that they should be.
If I can break in real quick.
Absolutely.
This was also proposed to me at a sidewalk cafe in Santa Cruz in February when it was 72 outside. So I just feel that's a thing. She looked at me and she told me later, she's like, you didn't run away screaming immediately. And I was like, that was then, this is now.
Yeah, when he didn't immediately vomit, I thought, wow, maybe there's some there. So now we're at the home and have been so for about 3 years. It's been a rough transition. We've gone through some stuff here, you know, over the last 3 years, some hard times, but and that's kind of what's so special about this project is that it really gave us, I think, the shot in the arm that we needed. Is this cool?
Yeah.
I think, you know, what you find is pretty common with, muralists, stuff like that, people that are doing larger scale pieces. Back in the 90s, early 2000s, everybody was using a grid method. And now we have iPads and InDesign and Illustrator. And so we basically bring an image into a program we use on our iPhone or our iPad, and we overlay it with these scribbles on the back of the wall.
Because I feel like a lot of times it's based off of like the initial space that we're given. You know what I mean? So you kind of have like, we kind of like gauge with like, okay, how tall this wall is and how much space we have. You know, we don't want to jam too much into too small of a space. Then that's when we like take a picture of the wall. Then we bring it into like Procreate, which is an app on our iPad, and then kind of like, you know, make sure our outline and like everything's proportional. And then what we basically hit the wall with a bunch of gibberish, take a picture of it again, throw the image that we want to do onto this photo that we've taken of the wall, and then we kind of add a transparency to that so that we can see our markings on the wall when we use our reference photo. And then that's kind of it's like kind of what we base our outline off of to get the shape.
But I think what makes art kind of go to another level with the power behind it is having a solid structure and a solid foundation that you could build on top of. You can build any type of house, but if the base isn't solid, the house won't stand. And so with art, it's the same way. That's why we like to get the dimensions correct. Because once you have those dimensions correct and the tones are where they need to be, you could put anything inside of those tones and it'll still resemble that image.
It still has that structure, that base. like the bones, basically, and then we can build on top of that.
This is like it's like an easy piece for me because with birds, like not everybody knows how an owl like really looks like at that angle. And so a lot of times you can kind of make it up. With this one I can do National Geographic and make it all detailed and completely realistic.
I'm excited for this chick. She's gonna have a big ass head.
I may have a late flight, but if it's early, dude, I'll for sure make it. I think traditionally, like people that do well with graffiti or street art, spray cans, whatever, they're a little bit more free-spirited in their approach, and so it's more of a freestyle. It's more or less one of these things that you kind of get to bring your imagination into, and as you get going through the process, it's easy to get in a rhythm and start flowing with it, almost like you're like a DJ, or you're in the middle of a dance, or you're singing a song. And so it's like the same flow, the same rhythm, just bringing color, lines, shapes, whatever into that dynamic to create something that's almost alive in a sense.
For me, it's so spontaneous. It can just be like such a simple thing, like an image I see, and I like the lighting. It's nothing like crazy. It's just like I see like something that inspires me, and I'm like, okay, I like the form of that, or I like the shape of it. It's very spontaneous.
I've been using a lot of purple undertones, teal undertones, stuff like that with graffiti and street art. It's super cool to bring in a glow from underneath.
Mm-hmm.
So not just the traditional lighting of having a light that's focusing on this object, but around that back side of it you have a glow which really pops it out and makes it
it like adds a dimension to it. And that's like a thing with spray paint too, is like it's just so easy to like produce that and to really get like a good flow and just that lighting. In the beginning, like for me, it's a battle. You know, like I'll start looking at it and just be like, oh, I don't like this at all. Like this just isn't whatever. And you know, you just have to kind of keep going and just like put in those layers.
There's a lot of doubt when you're
Yeah.
creating these things. It doesn't matter how good you are. I think anytime an artist puts something together, a lot of times there's so much perseverance that it takes to kind of like create a finished piece of good art, because throughout the whole thing you have those layers throughout your process that are really difficult, and they don't make sense when you look at them visually.
I feel like between the beginning of it and the finishing of it is just a lot of like going with it and working and just kind of believing in the process, because you can go crazy if you don't.
Yeah, the process isn't always, it's not always pretty, just like any human being, where you see this outstanding person and everybody wants to be like them. but nobody takes into consideration these like years where they probably suffered, or they were like, life was ugly and in turmoil, and it takes that to shape something beautiful. That's the process with art. I think a lot of times it's like the ugly duckling to the swan or whatever. It's like you get to that certain point and then you're just like, dang, like this is it. Like this is what we're doing. Like it's all coming together kind of thing. You just work until you hit that point. The community's been awesome and getting behind it and showing us love, and we're just kind of plugging along and enjoying ourselves, and it's coming to be something really cool.
Gotta go over it.
I mean, now visually, we're kind of showing the city what we're about, and we're able to visually represent.
I think it's really cool with this mural that the artists were given complete creative freedom. And I think it was great that the owner there, like Christy, was really willing to kind of let them just do their thing, and like really just trusted them and trusted their vision and just trusted that they would create something beautiful.
Something we really noticed was like a lot of the language about the mural was all about like rebirth and renaissance and like reinvigoration of our community. I think that was a really positive thing. It's like what this mural means, even though a lot of people are like, well, what does it mean? Like, what was the inspiration? And I think like people have put what it means onto it, of like a symbol of like seeing a reinvestment in our downtown and into the arts, and also bringing like world-class professional artists to our community. And Alpena as being like a viable destination for that type of artwork.
From an economic standpoint, I think the art scene has tremendously changed Alpena. You know, it's not just a town that you can pass through, it's one that you have to purposely want to go to. And I think people are doing that because of the art scene, wanting to travel to the east side to see the things that we have to offer. Where you're actually here, and in order to do it right, you have to be here for a few days to really take it all in. So I think we're really seeing the economic drive that an arts town can have, and really bringing people in and making professionals out of people that live here, because maybe they're an artist or a videographer or whatever it might be, and they want to give their talents back to the city that they grew up in or want to be a part of. And I think that's really impactful because, again, it's all through the arts.
It's been really cool working in Alpena. It was really exciting to see not only the community support this event and get behind it and allow it, but also see everybody come together to really make it happen. So that it's not just us coming out here and trying to do everything on our own. There's a lot of people behind the scenes that were making this happen, and for me, I'm just grateful to be here and be a part of it.
It makes me like really proud to just like see everybody's behind it, everybody enjoys it, people are driving by. Every day that we've been painting, people are just like, looks good, and just, you know, and that means a lot. I don't know, it's really cool. And it's exciting too because it's gonna keep going. And we're gonna go into next year and hopefully the year after that and just really bring some color to the town.
I don't think we've done anything else with our business that has elicited as much of a positive response as we got with this. Everybody I've spoken to is, I love the building. I love the way it looks.
I think when people saw the mural and how much it brought to the community visually, I think that it made them go, hey, you know what? I can up my game. how can I improve the way my business looks and thus improving the way that Alpena looks, because this is happening. This is happening, I want to be a part of it.
We always say, it takes courage to find something new and something familiar. And I think that's like the feedback that we've been getting is like, you drive by this building every day and now it has this beautiful piece of artwork, and it really, it changes your perception of it, and kind of is what we're trying to do with the downtown is like, you might think you know what downtown is, but come see it, it's changing, it's vibrant, and it's always new.